Hello everyone and welcome back to Pirate Cove Philippines. I had to set the props up this time. This goes out to my good friend Pilo in the Philippines. He always likes to set the mood with props, so this one's a shout out to you. Haha. Anyway, so much for the hat. Number two, if you've watched my videos, I got my dental work finally done. So now I got to learn how to talk all over again. So please forgive me. I know it's going to be hard to understand until I can get used to things a bit. But real happy with the dental work here. You can't beat it. Okay, so this is continuing my series on a foreigner having a business in the Philippines. Okay, so in part one, I kind of got into the basics of, kind of where I'm going to go with this. And, some do's and don'ts and whether or not you really want to get into it or not, and legal and visa ideas and that. And got some great comments. And one of the subscribers, Clyde, he hit the nail right on the head. And this is something that I always talk about here, about having a business here. And that's, he hit on the word needs. You've got needs and you've got wants. We all want something. We all want that new phone. We all want that new car. We all want, But then there's needs, and we all have the needs, your basic needs. So let's hit on businesses for basic needs. Something that we all have to have, no matter if we're Filipino or expat or whatever. And, our food. Our electricity, our basic items we need around here, okay? So most of these areas here, you're going to find that they're highly regulated to a certain degree, and the rest of it is going to be regulated by price. And if your price is too high, you're not going to sell. Another part of basic needs is they've been doing that here forever. Everyone's needed rice. Everyone has needed their food, their pork, their chicken, their vegetables, okay? So to break into those areas, it's going to be difficult to say the least. Now, who's making money on it? Well, the processors are making the money. Let's take rice, okay? Even right out here, just behind, I do a lot of videos there, a lot of rice fields back there. Luzon has quite a bit of the rice for the Philippines, along with some other areas, but rice is a big crop here. Of course, you got to have a lot of land, a lot of labor to be growing the rice. That's probably not going to be in your area of a business. Then you have the processors. The processors and the growers, there's where the money is. But they're doing large amounts of rice with a pretty good sized business, And a lot of these are traditionally family owned over generations, corporations. Very hard to get into that. Then you've got the suppliers, those that buy directly from them. And now like all the products basically, they're all handed down from one distributor to a smaller distributor to, okay, you see what I mean? By the time it gets out here to the barangay, who knows how many hands that product has changed. Every time the price going up a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, depending on how much you buy. You buy a lot, you save more. You can sell it for less. So by the time that gets out here, say you want to set up a store and you sell rice. And there are some right down here in Santa Rita, several of them, and other places too here, where all they sell is rice. They have 6, 8 different types of rice. There's premium rice, there's brown rice, there's, the lowest cost rice, and that's probably what sells the most of all of them too. Then there's those that can afford a little bit more. The price range on the rice, 42 pesos per kilo to 55, 58 kilos to the premium top. It's not that much. It doesn't seem like a much to us, but every peso here to these people count. So how much you're able to buy and then sell that way, that's you're looking at making pesos of 1, 2, 3% markup on your product. That's a hard way to make a living. Now for them here, in a month's time, if they're making 10 or 15,000 pesos, that's okay for them. For us, that's not even a good supplement for most of our income. If we came here with, say only 1,000 a month, we want to supplement that another 1,500 with all that work. That doesn't balance out, and that doesn't work too much. And now that's going to go. Talking about rice, but it's going to be the same thing with vegetables, the same thing with meats, pigs, pork, chicken, and your products like that. It's going to go through the same type of process. Now, there are a few expats here that have pig farms, small pig farms, and they can make, and supplement their income. One that's on one of the groups, they seem to be doing pretty well with it. Now, there again, another part of that is going to be your wife, your girlfriend that you're here with, and possibly her family. His wife's family does pigs. They've had small pig farms for a long time. She's been around it. She knows it. They knows the ins and outs. Real easy for him to get into that type of business. Okay. If you don't know the ins and outs, you don't know the processors to sell it to, the things of this nature, you're going to be starting out unknown, and that's where things can get difficult, is not knowing who to go. It's all about who you know. Everything here, I don't care what anyone says, it's all about who you know. You can be an expert at something, but unless you know somebody here, have that networking I talked about, that's going to be the key. That's going to be the key from you struggling to make a business and actually, boom, okay, how do I get past all these other middlemen to get up here to buy these products? Or past these middlemen, to sell this product or whatever. That's going to be a big key. So basic needs, that's real difficult. Like I said, your basic needs, and a sorry store, for the most part, is a basic needs. Everybody uses them on a daily basis. We do right here. I go to the grocery store every couple weeks. I buy a large amount of stuff. I'm buying a lot of things I like, certain American type products and things I can't find at the sorry next door. The rest of the stuff, fruits, vegetables, all that, we buy that locally right here. We got fruit stands right down here. I got a sorry store on both sides of my business. And then if I had to walk, about 2 minutes and I'll be at the next one. They're everywhere. And they're basically selling on the same principle. They're buying these products here at some of the more discount stores where they can save on the bulk items, and they're reselling in there. Okay, and they do the rice. They'll break down the bags of rice into 1 kilo bags. Okay, so they're able to sell, but they're making pesos, 1%, 2%. So you got to sell a lot of products, and again, you're at the will of how closer can you get to the bigger suppliers in order to buy and get the lower price, so that you still have to charge the same basic price, or you're not going to get the customer. They will pass you up. That next sorry store is a few steps away. If your price has gone up by 2 pesos on this item, they'll walk away. and they'll go to the next one. So that's going to control your price. So Sorry Store is basically in with basic needs. Okay. Now there's one exception to that I think will work, and in fact I know it would work here, and that would be your drinking water. We all get our drinking water in these big blue jugs, 5 gallon, I believe they are. You get a little spigot on the bottom, and they go around, they deliver them, and you have water station. We have 2 of them in our barangay. The reason for that is the capital to put that water filtration system in. Okay, so you have a large investment. A basic one here is going to cost you around 1 million pesos. That's 20,000 US dollars. Okay, but you don't need much after that. You need your filters, right? You have to keep upgrades on this and that, possibly repairs. You're going to need a tricycle, utility tricycle that has the larger sidecar, and they're able to stack all the bottles in it. Bottles of big jugs in it. Probably going to need at least 2 of those because they deliver here. It's 25 pesos for a 5 gallon jug. Not very much, but you go through a lot of it. Believe me, out here you go through a lot of water. We drink water all day. Everyone here drinks water all day, and everyone needs it. It's a need. Okay, it's not a want. It's a need. Some drawbacks to it, like I said, first, you've got a capital investment, but your supply is coming in from the water tap. You don't have people in between. Drawback to that may be you're going to have to pay commercial price, okay, and that's only to be right. You may not always pay commercial price if you know somebody. Your wife can talk them into it. They might give it to you at a residential rate. Sometimes that might be 1,000 pesos in the hand of somebody, and I'm not saying that that's the right way everything should be. I'm just telling you how it is, okay? We can debate whether that system works. It's corruption. It's, extortion. You'll hear it all. And I'm not going to debate it. I'm not going to debate it on my channel. But it's real, and it's just a fact of life here. It's up to you how you deal with it if you want to get along. Make life a lot easier for you. Anyway, that's as far as I'll go with that. I hope you guys are able to understand me. It's going to take me a while to get used to this. Hopefully I don't look as bad with my pirate teeth. Okay, so like I said, with the water station, it's easy to keep track of your product. Okay, you only got one product. Okay, and the boys, you're going to have, guys working for you. You're going to have, 2 4-guy teams on each tricycle delivering. You count out, there's 25 that go out on this. Okay, you know how much they get for them. That's how much they bring you back. It's easy to keep track of your money. It's easy to keep track of your product. Now that's not always easy in the other areas. Sorry Store, simple. Your product will disappear. If not, your money will disappear. It's all money, but your product will disappear. Your workers, they take this, they take that. And don't think that family is going to run it for you and you're going to do any better. A lot of cases, family can be worse than an employee. Not all. Please don't get me wrong. Not all. But it's true, and it happens. And so it's easier. The water station is going to be much easier to keep track of your product and keep track of the cash flow. Okay. not a lot of work. The system does all the work. You're going to have filters, and also it is regulated. It's a little different for every province. They have inspectors that come out. I believe it's on a monthly basis. They have to do a purity test on the water, make sure it's safe, because that's the whole idea behind it. So it has a small bit of regulation, but it's easy to comply with. You don't need a lot of land for it. The two of them here that I know of, they live, their houses right there, and then they've built an area, a work area for the equipment and for the bottling, which isn't a huge amount of space. So you may have an addition to put on to a place you're at, or if it's a rental, you're going to have to, pay to expand it a little bit, a commercial space for it. You got to have the proper space, but it's not that much. So there's a good amount of advantages to it. You're actually producing a product, unlike reselling a product. So there's where you're going to find the avenue you're looking for, is costs for you to produce it and the cost that you sell it for, and so that's going to balance out. That's where you're going to make it. As far as how much, between 30, depending on the size, of course, between 30 and 80,000 a month profit. That all depends on the size and how many customers you have out there and how much is being used. Now, one area, and this can be true with almost any business here, is, and I mentioned it in the first video, is the unwritten rules. Okay. If you was to come to this barangay, we have two here already, and I believe that those two are actually connected by family, not under one owner, but part of that family has expanded out to do the second one, and that was because the other one that was here went out of business. The family that had it, the parents had passed away, one and then the other. Over time, the kids took the business over, but they ran it in the ground. They just spent the profits. They couldn't buy filters. Basically, it goes under. So the other family was able to take over. So they pretty much got this barangay covered as far as water. If you was to come here and decide, oh, I'm going to open a water station also. Okay, well, there's where the unwritten rules come in, okay? Now you're stepping on somebody else's turf and trying to take over for them. That may not go over very well. I'm not saying it will, but there's a very good chance it won't go over real well with those that are already doing that business here. You will see problems like this come up, and you being a foreigner, they're going to really look down on that. Now, on the other side of that, what if if the barangay had the same problem, but they didn't have another water station? They only had the one, and now he can't produce enough for this area. They're having to get it from some of the other barangay and their water stations. People aren't getting deliveries, and they're running short on water. Well, you might be, very welcomed there, and probably would do very well. But you got to be careful about stepping on toes here, okay? And so that is going to be very true with almost any business you start here. You got to be very careful with that. Okay, so those are basic needs. And now you can get up maybe somewhere in between. Like I said in the last one, I talked about a restaurant coming here, a person coming here and wanting to start a restaurant, but he wanted to specialize. He wants to specialize and to foreigners and that. Well, he's limited himself with the people that he's going to be that are going to be looking forward to that are going to be looking toward that product, to that food. And he's also going to limit himself on where, because it's mostly going to be foreigners. So now he's got to go where there's a lot of foreigners. And so then he's got that same competition problem in those areas too. So when it comes to, like I said, now getting back here with needs are something everybody needs. Now our business is kind of a little bit of both needs and wants. Okay, we do printing. People do not have computers. They don't have printers sitting here at their house like we do in the U.S. So they got to have copies, and believe me, you got to have copies for everything here. So we do copying, and then we do everything else. And some of that would be considered wants. You know, they want to have wedding pictures, or they want to have business cards, or they want to have invitations are a big thing for weddings, invitations for christenings. We do, my wife does all this type of stuff. Okay, she's a graphic artist. So yeah, those are wants. They're not extravagant wants, but they're, you know, and so there's where we can. Do we make a lot of money on just making copies of IDs or a copy of a birth certificate? No, we don't make much on that, okay? But it's a service that we provide, and it also, the customers come in and they get exposed to all the other things that we have in our shop. Well, they come back. You treat them right, they come back. It takes a while to establish yourself, but you will make your business on repeat customers, and that's, we have a lot of repeat customers and word of mouth, and that's how it works. So let's see, did I cover everything in this topic? Oh, one other thing about, like, say a water station, you need electricity in order to produce that. There's a lot of areas here that have brownouts. They have brownouts many times a week. Some areas have it every day. If you get it way out remote, you could experience 5-hour brownouts on a daily basis. That's going to be very difficult for you to operate a business that needs power. And almost everything needs power. I mean, our printing business, we can't work without power. Now, we don't have power problems here. You'll hear a lot of people have, you know, difficulties with brownouts quite a bit of the day, or quite a few times a week. We don't. Our area here, maybe in 5 years now, I've seen maybe 10 hours total time of no power. One of those was for about 6 hours. One was about 3 hours, and a couple 10 maybe 15-minute periods of time with power out. And those were all due to an accident, a fire. I think the wind blew down some lines one time, and that was it. Okay, we don't have revolving brownouts due to power shortage. It doesn't mean it won't happen, but at least our area is like that. And there are some areas around the bigger cities that have reliable power. So there's another thing to consider. Now, that doesn't mean you can't go out into a further out province, a smaller town, and be able to set up, you know, maybe that place needs a water station. Because there's also generators, there's also solar power, okay? A little bit more capital investment, but you can imagine the business that you would have if you were able to set up and be able to operate normal hours and not be affected by brownouts. You would do really well. But there again, it's going to take that capital investment. All right, so that's enough for this one. I'll try to hit up a little bit more areas in the next. Again, if you have comments, just like we had a great comment from Clyde there on the needs, put them down in the comments, and let's see what you got, and we'll try to get something out there, and I'll try to, you know, answer a few of those also. All right, thanks for tuning in, everybody.